My mother-in-law bought me a new coffee maker. I don't know why, as the one I have is still working fine. But whatever, I accepted it. Before leaving, she told me I needed to pay her $30. I asked why, and she said that she was planning on putting only $50 in the gift, but the cheapest coffee maker she could find was around $80, so I needed to put the $30 she added for the machine. That confused me because if she planned on putting only a certain amount in the gift that I once again didn't ask for, then why not give up the coffee machine idea and buy something that was actually $50? She said she didn't care about paying more if it made me happy. I said, well, you do care. Otherwise, you wouldn't ask me to pay the extra $30. She said it was just a matter of principle and that if I had manners, I'd pay her. She then left. She later texted my husband that she was waiting on the $30 and would take back the coffee machine if I didn't. I told my husband to respond that she could come and take it back because I'm not going to give her $30. My husband is not okay with that because he got attached to the machine, whatever that means, and to just give her the $30. I told my husband if he wanted to keep the machine, then he should give his mom the money she wanted. He said I needed to do it because the gift was originally mine, even though I never asked for it. He said I was making this harder than it needed to be and was selfish not to pay the extra $30 for the coffee machine his mom got me, especially knowing that he likes it. I have a hard time seeing how I'm wrong, so I'm coming here because there might be a chance that I am in the wrong. Should I just give his mom $30 like she asked and be done with it? Mother-in-law, here's something you don't need. I need you to pay for it. OP, no thanks. Mother-in-law, clasp pearls. The impertinence! Have you no manners? Here, I brought you something you don't need, called it a gift, and then insisted you pay me for it. And you refuse? OP's husband, pay for it, I want it. What kind of family did you marry into? This is such a red flag. I hope they don't have kids, and she can nope right out of there. Don't pay her and tell her why. You don't want a coffee machine. Your old one is fine. And why should you pay for a gift you don't want? Tell your husband the same. This feels like she's setting a precedent. If you pay the mother-in-law, you'll likely get the same treatment again down the road. Go to a fancy restaurant with a $200 bill. Mother-in-law only wanted to pay $100. You'll have to pay the other $100. Good for you for standing up to her. Did she get the idea for the coffee maker from your husband? Is this another bowling ball named Homer kind of scenario? It seems a little too convenient that your husband loves a gift you never even wanted to receive from his mother. Husband asking you to pay the $30. I have no idea. Has he recently started smoking crack by any chance? Too weird. Not the idiot, but there may be more going on here. Keep digging. The husband wanted the darn thing. Mother-in-law buys OP a gift that is actually for the husband and then expects OP to pay. OP, pay mother-in-law the $30 and ask her if she knows anyone who would want a coffee machine because you're selling one for a bargain price of $30. Sell it for $30 and get your money back. This is less about being petty and more about do not force my hand and gang up on me. It isn't going to go how you expect it will. Agree. I would sell the machine on Facebook Marketplace for $30 just to assert dominance at this point. I'm most appalled by your husband's expectation you pay. His siding with her makes me wonder what the real dynamics are at play here. It's not about you, and it's not about a coffee machine. I divorced my first husband because I couldn't stand my mother-in-law, and he never defended me when she put me into these crazy situations. Now I love my new mother-in-law. She buys me weird presents sometimes, but at least never asks me to pay for my own gift. I've been married to my wife for 2 years, and the best way to describe my mother is cold. She's not rude or anything. It's just disinterested in my wife. The best way I can explain my mom is that she's tired. She had a really hard life, didn't have much affection left to give, and rarely got close to anyone. It's pure disinterest, and she can't bring herself to care about new people. She's a retired old widow lady that just wants to sit on the porch, not make small talk with people. She used to be a lot better when Dad was alive. I've explained this to my wife before, and told my mom's story. We had a little get-together at my mom's house. My mom doesn't like it when people bring food. She works all day to make a spread, and it's like her thing. She just wants to provide for the guest. My wife came from work, and she brought food, potatoes and salad. I stopped her from bringing it in the whole night. She was just bothering her when she was on the porch, asking her if she wants to go on a shopping trip. When my mom asked for some quiet, she still talks. When I was walking by, she asked me to take my wife away from her. This made my wife upset, but I did it, since I could see Mom was getting close to the end of her rope. We had a talk in the car about what that was all about, and she just wanted to be loved by her mother-in-law. She's just being nice, so she doesn't get why she doesn't like her. I told her my mother will never love her and to just stop. What she's doing is actively making her dislike you and to leave the woman alone. She called me a jerk and hasn't spoken to me since. You are the idiot, and your mom too. Like, why even have a get-together if you want to be left alone? Don't bring any food, only I want to provide for the guest, but I don't want to talk to the guest. Does that not sound strange? Go one way or the other. Your mom could at least show some basic respect for her. I don't know. Maybe it's just a very different family dynamic from what I'm used to. But if I were in your wife's position, I wouldn't feel very welcome. The woman just wants to sit quietly by herself and not be bothered. She's not rude. She's simply asking for some peace and quiet. The woman lost her husband, and she's not interested in life anymore. She cooks and finds happiness in feeding her family. She just doesn't want to chat about anything with people. It's really not challenging to just sit quietly with a person. The wife is rude because she doesn't care about or respect her mother-in-law. Everyone's the idiot here. Being old and having a hard life doesn't entitle her to be rude to your wife, asking for quiet, asking you to take your wife away from her, right on your wife's face. What the heck? That's not all right. Your mother is an idiot. You're an idiot for making excuses for her and for continuing to bring your wife around your mother and expecting her to just put up with being treated with a complete lack of respect by your mother-in-law. Your wife is kind of an idiot too, because she needs to understand she can't force people to like her or to be social with her if they don't want it. That said, there's a high chance your mother is in a deep state of depression and has been for a while. You mentioned her antisocial behavior worsened after your father's passing. She should get help. I, 38 female, have been married to my husband, 39, for 4 years and have been together for 7 all in all. He is a tween son from his previous marriage, and I love him a lot. My husband splits custody with his ex-wife, 50-50, with them alternating weeks. They've been in talks about my stepson's education for a while, as he doesn't thrive in a traditional schooling environment, and they want to homeschool him. If done right, I don't see an issue with this, even though I do have concerns about his social needs. I expressed those thoughts, but beyond that, I didn't offer much input. He's their son, and his education is up to them. I had an issue, however, when they seemed to think that I could oversee his education when he was staying with his father and me. They even commented how I'm always home, so it's perfect. I work remotely as a data analyst, so yes, I'm around, but I'm working and not free to play teacher. Helping with homework outside of work is fine, but actually teaching? That's not my job. I told them as much and said if they wanted to do this, either his mom would have to come around during my work hours or they'd have to hire a tutor, as I won't be splitting my focus between teaching him and my job. I even told them I'd be happy to put money towards the tutor. They feel I'm being unreasonable, and his ex-wife even questioned if I see their son as my family, if I've got so little interest in his schooling and what's best for him. This led to harsh words said on both sides. My husband took her side in this and has told me he's disappointed in me and that it's not like his son is a little kid who'll be underfoot constantly. Sure, the point of remote working is that I can have a balance to help around the home. I suggested that if he felt that way, he might see about working remotely. I feel pretty crappy about this. I love my stepson, and I want a good future for him and for an education he thrives in. But I don't see why it's down to me to educate him when I work full-time, even if that work is from home. My husband is currently really upset with me, and the fact they're both in agreement on this is making me question if I'm in the wrong and being an idiot. Edit. I'd like to be clear. They could, in theory, homeschool him properly. This isn't something they want to do with no experience. His ex-wife is a former teacher, but had to leave her job due to her health. The husband will have input on lesson plans from what they've discussed, but he disagreed with my idea that he works remotely to educate his son. Not the idiot. You're working full-time. Tell your husband that if he thinks it's so important to homeschool him, then he should think about his priorities the same way he's asking you to. Working from home still requires you to work from home. Don't jeopardize your employment because they can't parent appropriately. Good luck to you. And you are looking out for what's best for your stepson. He deserves a teacher who isn't busy doing another job simultaneously. Homeschooling is a significant time investment if done right. He and his wife are completely unreasonable and don't respect your work. You're effectively at work during all of your work hours. This is next level insanity. Going out on a limb here, I wonder if OP makes more than hubby, and that threatens him because of patriarchy. If OP's job were damaged or lost because of this inane plan, then well, hubby would be happy because he's now fulfilling his manly role by making more, and OP can stay home and completely focus on her stepson and probably soon-to-be bio kids. Update. A few hours after this post went up, my husband and I got into a huge fight. I ended up packing up my stuff, and after a few texts, I arranged to stay with my brother and his husband. I've told my husband he needs to sort his crap out and figure out an arrangement that doesn't involve me before I come home. And even then, I won't be back until he agrees to counseling together. My wife and I had our first child 2 years ago, a beautiful little girl. My wife and I agreed that her being a stay-at-home mom was worth it, and I could sustain the household on my income. I started to notice about a year in, she was getting overwhelmed and asked what I could do to help. She claimed to be fine, but I started to price around childcare options. I spoke with friends, family, and colleagues for suggestions, recommendations, and resources. That's when my boss told me, our job has childcare benefits. Awesome. I started the paperwork, got the approval, and got put on a wait list. I brought it up with my wife. We toured the place with our daughter. She loved it. In about 4 months, a spot opened up, and our daughter's now in daycare. It is run in the same office building I work at, so it's super convenient to drop her off when I head to work and pick her up when I leave. Perfect. Here's where the issue arrives. My wife is not doing anything. We split the household chores. That's how it was in my family growing up, and I find cleaning and cooking relaxing, so I'm fine with it. That being said, my wife has not done much with her day since our daughter started daycare. I understand adjustments take time. That being said, the original agreement was for her to be a stay-at-home mom. With our daughter in daycare, not being rude, staying home to be a mom is not happening. I brought up the million-dollar question. When are you returning to work? This may have been a miscalculation on my part, but I figured I was in this deep. Let's see it to the end. She gave me a glare of death and tried to change the subject. I kindly interjected, not trying to push you, but practically speaking, I told her that she has no excuse not to be working. This was my tactical error. She blew up. Thankfully, during this, daughter was at my parents' house, so she didn't hear or see the yelling. We went back and forth, using the classic lines from both sides of the camp. She used the good husband provides the option for their wife to stay home. If you want to be home, then watch our daughter or do the housework. Your being home is not a free pass to do nothing. She clapped back with your coworkers' wives get to stay home and do nothing. She clapped back with your coworkers' wives get to stay home and do nothing. I told her I agreed, but they've cheated on their wives. Want me to start doing that? I'm sure you'll piece together the rest. So, am I the idiot for telling my wife she no longer has an excuse not to work? Edit. She was a software engineer, and she probably could even work mostly remotely. Not the idiot. She wants you to take on the 1950s role as the sole provider for the family, but finds the role of the 1950s housewife insulting. She can't have her cake and eat it too. She either does 80% of the household chores or gets a job. Basically, all your wife is saying is, I'm a married woman, so I don't have to work, and it's a man's job to provide. Yikes! Is your wife getting any help with her mental and physical health? She was overwhelmed with one child and one household. I think there's something else going on here that needs to be addressed before any other work, etc. is mentioned. And the way you guys communicate with each other is definitely idiot territory. I don't think she was actually overwhelmed. I think she just didn't want to do any work, period. She saw all the other wives staying home, probably with older kids or nannies, doing whatever they wanted all day. So just looking after her own kid was a burden for her. She wants their life. Good on OP for letting her know the grass isn't always greener. How to fix this now is the big question, since she doesn't seem receptive to change. OP might want to check alimony laws a bit more. Maybe the longer the marriage and the longer she stays at home and didn't work, the higher the support amount and the longer it has to be paid. So I have a friend who, when we were in college, got some work done. It was known to everyone, and she never had a problem sharing with people and giving them tips on who to go to, the aftermath and everything. We're now 30, and the whole friend group knows. Whenever she meets new people, she tells them, or so she told me. Yesterday, she invited me to her and her husband's, and we were playing some old videotapes and pictures of our memories, and we were reminiscing and everything, until a photo of her pre-surgery appeared, and her husband was like, "Oh, she looks so different." So I was like, "Oh, it must have been pre-surgery." He was like, "What surgery?" I looked at him, then at her, and then she tried to deflect the situation, but the setting was awkward for the rest of the night. Apparently, she dated him and married him, but she lied about getting work done, and he believed her. After I left, he demanded answers, which forced her to tell him the truth. She called me today, saying I'm the idiot for exposing her. But I was like, how could I have known you lied to him when you were always so upfront about it? Like, if she doesn't mention it herself, she expects me to mention it on her behalf to other people we meet, except her husband. I also told her she invited me to view our old photos. Why didn't she just give me a heads up about it, like she knew old photos pre-surgery would appear? She hung up on me, saying she didn't want me to know anymore and that I was a terrible secret keeper. Am I the idiot for exposing my friend's plastic surgery in front of her husband? Not the idiot. The trouble with lying is trying to keep track of said lies. She's obviously known since before she married her husband that he doesn't know, and she doesn't plan on telling him. She could have warned you and everyone, but she didn't. She should have told him the truth initially, then the crap wouldn't have hit the fan. Am I the idiot because my friend lied to her husband and didn't keep me in the loop? LOL. How can you keep a secret when it was never a secret to begin with? You're not a terrible secret keeper. She's a bad liar and a bad person. She probably has low self-esteem and self-worth. She was probably embarrassed or ashamed to admit she had plastic surgery. If you want to continue the friendship, I would straight up ask if there's anything else she's keeping a secret that could come up in casual conversation. Who wants to be worried they could say the wrong thing among friends? Right? Can you imagine marrying someone thinking they're beautiful and have great genetics that your future kids are going to inherit, and it turns out it was plastic surgery? Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against plastic surgery, and people should do whatever they want with their bodies, but I just think it's something you would tell your spouse. It's a lie by omission.